Hi everyone, you've landed at Aquascaping on the Fly Living Art Creations. I'm Anthony, your host and content creator. Here on my channel, I like to infuse my love of spirit and Mother Nature into every one of the builds I make, whether it's on the terrarium side or the aquascaping side. So feel free to inquire about how I use spirit in my guides through your comments, and I can go into further detail for you. And while we're on the subject of comments, we are now at 223 subscribers. So thank you for that. That's very exciting. The channel is just 6 months old. And one of the things I love about it is that the comments, I listen to all of them, I read all of them, and I answer all of them. And I love the positive, uplifting community that the channel has created that has caught me quite by surprise. Your outpour of love and generosity is amazing, and I do appreciate that. And I get that through every one of my comments. So if you feel compelled and you like the content we're making here, please consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything. It just says, hey, I like that. And leaving a comment is awesome. And also, if you will do a like on the videos. For the algorithm, which for YouTube hasn't even gotten me anywhere near my audience yet, which is kind of funny because my channel is so new. When you get all three of those, I consider it the trifecta for the YouTube algorithm. And then it kind of helps push your videos out there to that larger audience that it's intended for when you're talking about aquascaping and terrariums. So that's just my shameless plug for the channel. Today, however, what we're going to talk about is I'm doing a retrospective series on the 5 tanks we have up and running right now. So that includes Blackfish, which is a 20-gallon long, Tree of Life, another 20-gallon long, and then the Trinity series, which is a series of 3 tanks that are 10 gallons each. 3 individual tanks with different hardscapes, but they carry one theme across. One universal theme for all of them. And what we're going to do is we're going to delve into a lot to do about the shrimp that's in each tank and the challenges that I have faced with the shrimp. A couple of plant issues that did not work out very well. The addition of mystery shrimp and what to look out for when you're adding any type of shrimp to your tank setup. And then also we're going to talk about the houseplants that I have growing out of my tanks and what a difference I can see in my water quality because of my houseplants. And it's also going to delve into how old each setup is and the specifics, notes that I've taken that I think is going to be really important for you guys out there that are trying this on your own for the first time. Now remember, my channel is not one of those channels where there's any subscribers. I'm purchasing all of my materials on my own. I'm setting up tanks as a beginner because I have no experience in this. When I created my channel, it was out of drive and determination, and I believe it was spirit-led because I found it quite by accident. And when I found the first video, I was basically hooked immediately. And within just a few short weeks, I had created my own YouTube channel with no knowledge of how to do anything. I mean, basically that's it. And I felt driven to put out videos that show other beginners that don't have the finances to put into what a normal setup is going to cost you. So my tanks are low budget. They are no tech except for one little 3 or 5 watt pump that I use just to circulate water around because for me, I am a Cancer and Cancers love the sound of water. It's very therapeutic for us. And I like hearing the slow motion of the water in all the tanks around me because my studio is my living room. So when I'm in here, it's awesome. And that's also something I do want to touch on now in this intro. There's something that a lot of people don't really outwardly talk about is how therapeutic this hobby is. Considering the climate of the world in North America right now, specifically in the United States, as far as what's going on politically around us. There's so much uncertainty. It's nice to have something when you come home that your sanctuary is you can unplug from. And when unplug, I mean the television and your mobile device. Because, you know, when we have our mobile devices, we're connected to them 24/7. This is a hobby where it forces you to put that down and focus on the very simple things in life. And setting up a tank in your own home or office or wherever that's most important your safety place is, it's great to have an aquarium set up and a terrarium set up. I get just as much joy out of watching my, oh my gosh, I just went blank, Desert Oasis fireplace terrarium. I'm allergic to smoke, so my fireplace here is useless. So I turned it into a terrarium and I call it Desert Oasis. The plants in there change daily, and I do mean that. They move around as much as they can, fighting for dominance on who's going to be the dominant plant and who's going to get the most sunlight that day. It is a trip to watch them. It's fascinating. So with the tanks, when you put it together yourself and you're deciding on your hardscape and your rocks and your gravel, I'm that channel where we go out into nature and we get inspired. And it's usually always a hardwood piece that I start with, that when I pick it up, I know immediately what I'm supposed to do with it, or I know immediately the name I'm going to call that tank. And that has been the rule of thumb for every single one of these builds I have started with. It has started with a walk in nature, and I have found something, I brought it home, I knew what to do with it, and it's just a matter of, okay, now where am I going to find my rocks? What kind of gravel am I going to use? So I have one tank where I got my rocks from a riverbed. I normally try to scavenge landscaping sites where I know they throw their trash away, because that's a gold mine for me. I can find rocks and dead shrubs and limbs and all kinds of stuff there. And then I just bring it home and I prep it. You know, you just have to really prep it really, really well to be able to put it into your aquarium. So therefore, I'm not spending any money on my hardscape or my rocks, and a lot of times my gravel. So my substrate and my tank. So the substrate, I do use an aqua soil substrate. My tanks, I get 50% off at PetSmart, and I wait until they have the additional 20% off coupon that's usually online. So I don't pay anywhere near what someone else is paying for their setup. So I'm not putting any extra equipment into it. And the lighting I use is very low budget, but I'm still using full spectrum grow lights. But I use the mini strips, and you'll see them on my video, that they're attached to the studio around it so that the light is coming down. I did have them attached right on the tanks, which is why I was using the, if you get your tanks from like PetSmart or Petco, and they've got the black little banding at the top and the bottom, I use that. I needed it in my setup on my studio because I have bolts that are holding the shelf up that 3 of my tanks are sitting on. If I didn't have the riser that's built into the tank, I wouldn't be able to put my tanks there because it would be a flat surface and the glass would be tilted. So I actually used the little black decorative piece that goes on there, and I use it on the ones on the top, and I attach my houseplants to it. So for me, it's very beneficial, and it doesn't bother my view. And matter of fact, I can hide my water line because the lip of that rim comes down into the tank. So if you always tap your water off, you'll always see water, and that's it. You won't necessarily see that corrosion line that you see on a lot of tanks unless you clean it really, really, really well. And I'm kind of lazy when it comes to that. I kind of like let my tanks go for a little bit. So I'm doing a natural planted tank, and I'm only using that little pump to circulate the water around, and that's it. So my bills, the most I've spent so far is just over $200. And when I say just over $200, I'm talking like $210. Most of my tanks are around $150, and that's all the plants I put in them. And I don't go cheap on my plants. I buy the plants I want. So if you're looking for a hobby where you can get into it and enjoy it, I've got shrimp only at this point. So when I do livestock, I will buy the ones that are a bargain price, and I will get the ones that will go in and cohabitate with other plants. I've already been doing research on the levels of the tank and what fish swim in what level. So if you're looking for a tank that has the full range of fish that are swimming in it, you need to do your research about who swims at the top, who swims at the bottom, and who swims in the middle section, so that when they're all going around doing their thing, that they're going to be happy in the different levels. And always remember that fish like to swim side to side, not up and down. So the tall tank is not as beneficial for your fish as a wider tank. It gives them more swimming room. So that's just like a little FYI. But so feel welcome to be in my channel, to come on board. I'd love to have your feedback. So right now I'm going to close this section out, and then I'm going to go use this same intro for every one of the tanks. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you guys enjoy the videos. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Turtle in Motion. This is the centerpiece of the Trinity series. There's a special story behind Turtle. I found this was actually my very first excursion out in nature, and the first piece of hardwood I found. Oh cool, and we have a snowball that's going to come down and greet you guys for the camera. Oh my gosh, on cue, love that. There you go. And there's more of the golden right there, the golden plant. Oh, crawl around. So this piece of hardwood I found at a rock trail, not something that was covered in trees and, vegetation and shady. It was completely out in the open, just a lot of gravel everywhere and rocks. It's more of a walking trail, and just out in the complete sun. And it was hot. It's Texas, summertime. And I came across a campfire, and there was some charred wood in it. And I'm looking through the charred wood, and I find this piece. It is burned on the opposite side of this piece. And so one side is burned, the other side is fine. And on the burn side, I did seal it with super glue just to make sure it didn't leach off anything into the water. But you can look at the color variant. Okay, this little dude is wanting to show off. Okay, just like, okay, yeah, let me show off. This is my tank, let me show off. Okay, so look at the beautiful color striations in this. I mean, it's really gorgeous. I love it. And let me back up so you can see what I'm talking about when I say turtle in motion. Okay, so I have given Turtle a little decoration on it to kind of spice it up a little bit as far as aesthetically. But if you can look here, this to me is the turtle's head. These are the flippers on the back side, and it's the turtle coming in down to graze. Now, there's a whole cutout section right here. It's like a U shape, and that's where I put the golden. I did a crisscross webbing of thread and then just tucked the golden in around it, and then put some Nana white here, and then also down here, and then threw this just in recently because I had it from another tank and I moved it. This is just a boost. This is still the Dasin that's in the other tank. Now, the one thing you'll see that I've done is I mirror plants from one tank into the next in my trilogy here. So the whole point of putting the Dasin in here was to have green behind it. The tank was too black. I had white backgrounds on these, and then I switched them out to black vinyl because I thought it looked better with the coloring of the studio. But when I did, this tank here became too dark. And so I lightened it up by adding this row of plants in the back. I was going to do jungle vow, and then I decided not to because I had put jungle leopard vow here on both of these tanks. But it's just not doing well at all. It has not spread. It's not really grown. I'm not sure what's wrong with it because there's considerable root tabs underneath this. I was very generous with my root tabs. These are still foraged rocks, foraged hardscape, So really the tank, this is another 10-gallon. I think these tanks cost me $12 each, and it has the same lighting up here that's at the tank next to it. It's these little micro strip lights that are attached to the wood that's up above the canopy of these tanks. You see, I've got this whole display up on top that has my lighting and sphagnum moss and a place for all the plants to actually, spiral up there and to grow with. So let me get my notes so we can go over this one. Okay, just like in Bird on a Wire and just like on the next tank we're going to talk about, this was set up on October 23rd of 25, so of this year. This tank has been operating for 77 days. The snowball shrimp that we have, 8 were introduced on June 10th. June 11th, 1 was eaten. June 15th, another was eaten. And on July 7th, I found a partial tail of the last one. So now we are only down to 2. So I had 3 for more than a month, but somehow, I don't know, aggression, I'm not sure what happened. That one was attacked, and I've just got the 2 that are in here now. And the 2 that are in here are oftentimes grazing on the biofilm around them. They hang out together. So I'm not sure if they just ganged up on the other one, or was it 1 female, 2 males, and was there a rivalry going on? I have no idea. But unlike the Bird on the Wire, this one has cave system in it. In Bird, I put mounds of rocks for shrimp to get into. But this one, I made deliberate little escape paths and places for them to hide. Now, the 2 that we have alive, I did research on these. Just like on the snowballs, they are not known to attack their tank mates. These, as well as the were super, super tiny. These size that you see now, and let's just, right there. The size that you're seeing, this is like double what it was. Just since it's been in here, it's double. They were so, so tiny. That may be a reason why they were easier prey, because they were all so very, very little. And I check these tanks at night. I don't have any babies yet in any of these. And this one has 1 snail in it. It has a chestnut female. I know she's a female because I have an orange mystery snail that's a male, because he's mounted both of the females I have left. So I found out on day 1 when I got the snails, came in with the shrimp order I did, I found out exactly who was the male first, because he went to town. Same thing in here. This was supposed to be, all this you see that's black was supposed to be a carpet of dwarf hairgrass. There is 1 little twig right here. There's a couple of other ones, but like I said, for Bird on a Wire, it dislodges constantly. I've seen other people comments about it, the same thing, that it's not suitable to use aqua soil with it, because this plant goes deep into the substrate with runners. And when these little balls roll around, anytime you go in there to clean it, or I turn the pump another direction, these little balls just flow all over the place. And so there's nothing holding them down. If I had something covering it, it probably would be a different story. I don't know at this point if I'm going to put anything else in there, because I'm kind of used to the way it looks as far as aesthetically, and I think it is kind of pretty. And I know that the shrimp enjoy crawling all over it and feeding off of it. So that's one thing I know that they do like. Now, like the other plants up here, I have a non-traditional plant that I've never seen anyone else try to grow out of an aquarium. This is you can see the markings there, a rattlesnake plant. Now, it already has started its aquatic root system. And you can always tell because the roots are so much lighter than the original. Now, I did have a croton in here as well that was growing roots the same, but I moved it to the tank down below. So you're still going to get to see it because I'm doing another theme. I want you guys just to take a look at this. Because they're so active right now. When I'm out here trying to do stuff, they're just like, they're not this active. I swear. They're like showing off. They're like, oh yeah, see, we can play when we want to play. The other one is right here, up here in the corner. Here it goes. You know, oddly enough, where they like to hang out as well, they hang out around that pump. They will actually sit on the pump, like the danger zone. You know, I was afraid they might get sucked in. They won't get sucked in. They go right up, they swim right across that pump and like little, you know, daredevils. Okay, so see how, what I'm talking about? They go in and amongst the soil. My camera is having a hard time today. Okay, so we lost it. It went on the backside. The backside is where a lot more of the biofilm grows. I didn't do a very good job sealing it, apparently. But on this tank, I think that's all we have to cover. The mystery snail, I wish the mystery snail was out so you could see her because she's really, really pretty. She's a chestnut, so she looks like wood. That's the best way to describe it. And she does not uproot this type of a stem plant. So this plant is completely safe. And I'm loving the fact that the rattlesnake plant is growing as well as it is because it's going to eventually send off some really powerful roots. And then I'm trying I experiment. I've got like 2 or 3 plants right now that I've got in a growth tub just sitting in the tip of the water, leaves that I've collected that I'm trying to see if I can get them to root as well. So that's it for the turtle in motion. I'll give you the synopsis on the next one on how all these tanks relate to each other because it all ties them together with one theme. So hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you on the next video. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.